Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-theme land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 118 of Matterhorn Mondays, coming to you live from the Outpost. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And it pains me to say the words I'm about to say, but I am your co-host, if you'll have me, Jeremy.
Yay, everybody. Jeremy's back once again, and you may be wondering where Mr. Alex the Historian is for this episode. Alex, Jeremy, why don't you go ahead? I'm sure you can articulate better than how I would have.
Under the bus.
I mean, you are replacing him after all, so you got to give us a good
That's
reason.
what Alex would want you to throw me under the bus, so I'll take it. I guess it's kind of sad. Well, it's not really. It is kind of sad news, Alex, because of these absurd times we're living in, these times of adversity. There's a lot of financial challenges that personally I'm going through. Everyone's going through. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. Alex owns a cafe?
It's a cafe, like a coffee shop, cafe, yeah.
And because of everything that's happening with coronavirus, he has a lot of business emergencies he needs to take care of in terms of making sure his business stays intact. If it's able to stay intact, I hope it is. So for the foreseeable future, however long this absurd, surreal crisis that we're all going through lasts, I have agreed to, for the time being, for the foreseeable future, take over as co-host for Matterhorn Mondays. So everyone wish Alex the best.
Yeah, guys, actually go give Alex some good vibes, you guys, on Twitter, on his YouTube channel. He's still putting out videos. I think he uploaded one yesterday or the day before, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, believe me, I'm gonna miss him as much as you guys because I need him. We fuel each other, and so so we'll see if I'm able to hold my own with just this kind of dull person that I'm gonna be talking to.
He's right. He's right, you guys. We've done one episode before, I think, where it's just us two. I don't remember it. It was a while ago, I feel like, but I think it went well. I don't remember much, but guys, yeah, we're gonna pull through even through these hard times. Again, we'll probably have special guests as well with Jeremy and I, as well as maybe add another person on, maybe next few episodes, just to mix things up. Because everybody's at home anyways. I mean, what else? They got nothing better to do than to be on the podcast.
You'll notice, everyone will notice that it doesn't look like I'm in my prison. That's because I escaped to my hometown of Los Angeles because New York, it was getting really bad, and I figured I'd rather quarantine with my family and with my dog. So this is my childhood room, everybody, and I'm just gonna turn this camera over here. You can see one of my prized possessions is this wonderful poster here. There's many more like that throughout the room, but I'll spare you the grand tour, and we'll just get down to business. So,
well, yeah, guys, again, my whole studio here is a work in progress. I finally got this light set up. The lamp I have is too bright, and it just bleaches my face. So I have a sock wrapped around the light, and it's still too bright. Again, work in progress. Working on the backlight, kind of backlight stuff. But anyways, it's time to get into the episode, everybody. And I guess as you can assume, there's no Alex in the parks this week, sadly. Oh, I guess he couldn't even go to the parks because they're closed. What am I thinking? I'm such a dummy. He wouldn't be able to. Anyways, all right.
This is why I need Alex back. So, because I'm going to be dealing with that for God knows how long.
It's true. All right. Well, anyways, you guys know the drill. Links to the Discords, Twitters, Patreons, all that kind of stuff will be down in the the description below. And if you'd also like to be wished a happy birthday live on the stream, you can do so by submitting your name, your birthday down in the description below. Click the link and we'll add you to our little birthday calendar here. This week we have just one, the 27th, Friday the 27th of March. Kenny! Happy birthday to Mr. Kenny. And again, yeah, if you guys would like to be wished a happy birthday, click the link down below. We add every single birthday, except unless if it's like a meme where it's like Poop Man, birthday, April 20th, 1969. You guys know the drill. Anyways, let's just start the episode. What are we doing? Blabbering on.
And guys,
here.
leave. Listen, we're all at home, twiddling our thumbs or working from home if people are able to still have jobs. So, guys, this is the opportune time. Send us those voicemails with those questions. We're more likely to answer questions on the air through the voicemails than by funneling through the chats. So if you want to be sure that we give you the attention that you want, because let's face it, that's really why you're leaving the voicemails to begin with.
Exactly.
Then we will give you that attention if you leave us that voicemail. And Matt, what's the number?
575-386-5814.
Call now.
Call now, you guys.
Everyone at the same time, pick up your phone. Leave a voice.
It goes straight to voicemail, so it's not like my phone's gonna blow up or anything during the show. So you guys are free to call. Leave as many voicemails as you'd like. Someone said in chat, Alex in the cafe. We should have had him record like a little segment instead of Alex in the parks, Alex in the cafe. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, we'll try to. Yes, I'm sure he'll still be involved.
Yeah.
I hope he is, because he's a treasure.
Of course. Now, it's time, everybody. Before we get into news from the peak, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Matt Snaps.
A whole wide world of knowledge awaits underneath the cap. It's once again time this week for Matterhorn Snaps.
Matt Snaps, everybody. I was debating today. I bought like 2 9-packs of Snapples yesterday. Kiwi strawberry and the original peach. I was debating which one to use today. We're going classic, you guys. Kiwi strawberry. As you can see, there it is right there. So let's go ahead and pop up this bad puppy here. There it is. All right, here we go. A shrimp's heart is in its head. That's
sounds like a figure of speech.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Poor shrimp doesn't think with his head, he thinks with his heart. Anyways. Oh, I just spilled it everywhere.
These are just the absolute
I just spilled
absurd.
everywhere.
I think everything is falling apart from
It
this
is, you guys. I just spilled it
podcast
everywhere.
to the world outside.
I don't have Oh no, I do have napkins. Wait, okay.
This is so weird. In New York, I always have perfect connection through, and I'm like we're closer mileage wise, and I'm like staring at a blurry screen.
Well, I think
weird.
it's because I spilled Snapple all over the.
No. This was
Everywhere.
before the Snapple.
Oh, okay. Before the Snapple. Before the Snapple
God.
incident. Well, I have just a few napkins to clean it up. The rest can wait, I guess, until the episode's over. Guys, bear with me just 10 more seconds, please. Let me wipe up my desk.
Oh my God. The good news is that Matt can edit this out for the official release tomorrow.
That's true.
On Monday.
You guys won't have to sit through my embarrassment, you guys. Snap another one. It's already halfway gone. Why does this smell? It doesn't smell like... I don't know what that Snapple smells like. But anyways, I got most of it off. That's good enough. My mouse pad is going to be soaking. Gosh dang it. All right. Anyways, that's it for Matt Snaps, you guys. We're never doing this segment again.
Oh my God.
Just kidding, of course. Only for the theme song. But let me pat this down. Okay, we should be good now. Oh, it's because I'm using my Five Guys grease-soaked napkins to clean it up, and it does not smell good. Anyways, That's it for Matt Snaps, you guys. Let's get this going to News from the Peak.
We now present to you News from the Peak.
For our first bit of News from the Peak, everybody, this just keeps coming in. These news of like movie cancellations and that. We got, I don't know where I was going with that. Onward, coming to Disney Plus early on April 3rd, you guys. Now, we saw this happen with Frozen just last week, or the week before, I think. Frozen 2 came to Disney Plus a few months or a few weeks early than it was supposed to be released on like digital, on DVD, on Blu-ray. So yeah, this is again very interesting. We've never really seen this.
We now present to you News from the Peak.
Well, anyways, I'd just like to point out to Mr. Disney here, the big man, Mr. Disney, releasing these movies early is almost kind of a genius move by Disney because families can't pay money to go to the theaters to see them either way. And if Disney releases the movies to Disney Plus, then families can pay for the service to watch the films at home, you know, basically just like replacing the movie theater. And Jeremy, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, and it's not just Disney that is following suit with this. There are other studios that are releasing things early to streaming services to purchase. I know with Onward, you can actually buy it right now for digital download or streaming to watch it, and then on April 3rd, it'll be, if you have a Disney Plus subscription, you'll be able to just log into your Disney Plus account and watch it. I know I'm waiting for that to watch it. So, yeah, this is the world we live in now. So pretty much all movies that haven't been canceled are most likely going to be released early onto streaming platform, all types of streaming platforms. So yeah, and it's also smart of Disney for doing this because I also think they're trying to. I know Disney Plus has been struggling. With in terms of subscriptions, just because people were kind of the blessing and curse of having like one series that becomes a national phenomenon is that once The Mandalorian was done, the season, people were like, okay, I don't need my Disney Plus subscription until October. You know, so a lot of people canceled. So this is a way of hopefully getting people back on the platform because they released Frozen 2 early. They're going to be releasing Onward, which would normally be in theaters. So hopefully people will resubscribe. Yeah. And if they want me personally, I mean, I'm using my family subscription now, but if they want me personally to subscribe, they need to upload all of the World of Color episodes.
Yeah.
You know, that'll keep me occupied during the quarantine for sure. So yeah.
This is, I guess, really good for people who hate movie theaters, because I know there's been a lot of at least I know myself. I dislike going to the movies. It smells.
No way.
The floor is sticky. I mean, the experience of like watching the movie on the big screen like can't be beat by watching it at home. But just like the general atmosphere, at least I guess in my local theaters, like the floors are sticky. Tickets are expensive. People always talk. There's babies who cry. I don't know. So I'd be fine if every single company put out their movies straight to streaming services.
I don't want to see movie theaters go out of business, though. We must remember that movies are made to be seen on the big screen, and going to the movies is a special and wonderful experience. So I love movie theaters, and I hope that this doesn't cause movie theaters to just massively go out of business, because that would be a tragedy for film, for the motion picture arts in general.
Yeah, well, I have a different sentiment, but anyways, for our second bit of news from the peak, guys, this is actually really great news in like contrast to all this like horrible stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Rosario, I think I'm pronouncing your name right, Dawson, has been cast as Ahsoka Tano for The Mandalorian Season 2. Now this is, yeah, like I said, great news for Star Wars fans, because I believe she was like the number one on everybody's like fan casting list of who they would want like live action actresses to play Ahsoka, because Ahsoka is such a beloved character in like the Clone Wars series and just the Star Wars series in general. I think many fans will be happy by this. And because I believe she made like a small cameo in The Rise of Skywalker. It was just like a voice line though, which is just the worst. Just like one line of dialogue. But here, hopefully, she'll have a bigger part in The Mandalorian Season 2. And Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on Rosario Dawson being cast?
I really don't have any thoughts about it. I haven't been following the sort of whatever the fan thoughts have been about moving forward with The Mandalorian and casting certain characters that exist in the Star Wars universe. But it seems like, if you're pleasing the loyal fans, I mean, it's just proof. The Mandalorian is like the extension of the Star Wars universe that we've needed. I mean, more so than the sequels, which I think has already been proven with just this first season alone. It's something that actually feels like Star Wars, but it's something also new and different. So I don't know if it's exciting that the second season will live up to the first season and hopefully even be better than the first season. So it's pretty exciting. It's a great show.
It really is. Yeah. And guys, there's a ladybug on my monitor right now. He can be our special guest. Wait, he fell. He's flying. Wait. Let me get him on my finger. And then this can be our new special guest of the episode in honor of Alex. He doesn't want to climb on my finger. He's just chilling on my desk right now. Well, we'll leave him be. Believe me, there's one down here. You guys probably don't believe me either way. He's here. He's looking right at me. Anyways. For our final bit of news from the peak here, Disney pushes back Black Widow from its May 1st release date. Now, this is very interesting news because I guess this sort of confirms Disney's stance on how long they think this whole coronavirus debacle will be happening, because as we're going to get into this very extensively for our main topics, but just pushing out a movie that's almost like 2 months out from its release date is kind of telling of how Disney feels this whole situation is heading, how long they feel like this whole thing might last. Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on Black Widow being pushed back from being removed completely from its May 1st release date?
Right. Well, it's not alone. There's a long line of movies that are in production that unfortunately have to halt production because of, the state of the world. So this movie's not alone, but it makes sense. I mean, production companies are doing that across the board. So it's not surprising, but and it's not so much that it's not so much Disney predicting how long the coronavirus quarantine is going to last. It's more so that they can't work on the film right now. So regardless of, even if tomorrow everyone is cured of coronavirus and we can all go about our daily lives again, the movie will not be able to probably make its May 1st deadline because it hasn't been able to be worked on for the past almost month. Well, not almost, but past few weeks at this point. So so that's the case with movie productions across the board. There are people who are working on television pilots all throughout the country that the pilots have been canceled completely because they can't work on them. So this is just one film in a long line of films that are, and there's other Disney films that have ceased production. Little Mermaid ceased production.
Yeah.
So because they have to. So I don't know how long this is going to last. I mean, I think at the very least, a month from now. At the very least, At the very least, at the very most, I would say brace yourself for till the end of summer.
Yeah, August.
But that's like the most extreme most. I think realistically, probably till June. But it's, don't take my word for it. Don't take
Yeah,
my
guys,
word
we're not
for it,
experts on this. We're just giving our opinions. We should just
But,
throw it out
but
there.
I will say it's going to get a lot worse, and then it's going to get a lot better. So there is hope, but it's brace yourselves, people, and take care of yourselves. These are truly times of adversity.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking forward to Black Widow all that much either way, at least the movie.
Me neither. And that's another thing, because I fear that Disney is, at least in terms of their parks responses, they kind of missed the boat in integrating Marvel into the parks, because I think a lot of people, unless you're a hardcore Marvel fan across the board, the terms of it being an international phenomenon, I think is kind of ended after Endgame. People were emotionally attached to that whole decade-long narrative, and the rest it kind of is going to feel like DLC. It's kind of a term I like to use when things feel good, but unnecessary. So who knows how these films are even going to perform? I'm sure it's Disney, and they have a hold on the international film market, so I'm sure it's going to turn a profit. It's not going to lose money. But I doubt these Marvel films moving forward, except for maybe Spider-Man, are going to, and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, are going to see the same billions of dollars that the previous Marvel movies have made. And these lands are being built surrounded by Marvel, and I'm just worried that they've just missed the relevancy boat.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on how you have viewed just like Black Widow or like any of the other Marvel movies in general. But I believe that is going to wrap up this week's news from the Peak. And we do have a voicemail to get to here from Mr. Guys, believe it or not, Avery's back, you guys. Our legendary hero, Mr. Avery, has returned with yet another voicemail. So let's go ahead and see what he has to say here.
I think releasing Onward early was a smart choice, because it was pretty much bad timing for them to release Onward in the theaters during this whole virus crisis. Definitely bad timing. I predicted on Savers Park's review video that they would release it early, and they're doing it, which is smart. Even if they kept it in the theater and they didn't release it on Disney Plus, that would be a loss for them for the theatrical release, like a big loss. So moving it to Disney Plus early, they may not earn much money. They'll still earn money for anyone to sign up for Disney Plus, but it's still a smart move to move it to Disney Plus now that we're all stuck indoors. There'll be something to watch, like this new pretty cool movie. And then for Ahsoka, definitely a smart choice that they chose her, definitely the perfect choice for that. Both as Ahsoka is new as a POC, so smart choice for them. And for Disney pushing movies, not surprised, because this time they're just waiting for a much better time to release it once this crisis is done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Avery, for that lovely, lovely voicemail. And yeah, he does repeat a lot of the sentiments that we have. Releasing a movie, especially during this time when everybody's at home, definitely will make Disney at least a few bucks. Not maybe as much as they would hope if they kept it in theaters longer. But yeah. And on that... Jeremy,
I want to sorry. I want to just briefly address something that Michael 23 just brought up in the chat about how Flight of Passage opened about 8 years after Avatar, the film, opened, and it's one of the most popular attractions in any Disney park. That's true, and when Pandora was being built, I know a lot of the discourse in the fan community was, why are they building a land centered around a franchise that really ultimately people only cared about opening weekend when it came out, and that's still the discourse. I just want to be clear. The reason why they made that land, and I think I've talked about this theory on this show, but I'm pretty convinced of this theory, so I'll share it again. I think they were already anticipating a Fox Disney merger, and that was kind of their head start on acquiring that particular property so that they can develop more Avatar films in the future. So that's kind of I think they're thinking Disney, the partnership with James Cameron and Disney, can make Avatar a relevant property in the future. Whereas with Marvel, I feel like it's teetering on the edge of it's had its moment and now may not. So I think that's the difference between Avatar and Marvel in terms of theme park integration with that. And with that, Matt, you may move on. I give you permission.
Guys, before we move on, can you keep a ladybug as like a pet? How long do they live for? Like, what's their lifespan? Probably not long, right? I'm assuming they don't live very long. I'd love to hear, because this can be our actual mascot for the show, you guys. What we should name him. Guys, put your name suggestions in the chat for the ladybug. Anyways, we do have a voicemail from T-Will, but before we get to that, let's go ahead and get into our first topic, which I think will be our briefest topic of the day. But let's go ahead and give a rundown. Alex the Ladybug. Guys, Alex, it's his spirit. He's here with us. All right, so first topic. We'd like to give a little rundown of what all these rumors of Apple possibly buying Disney were all about. Second topic, the virus impact on the Walt Disney Company. We're going to be expanding on all the recent news articles that have been coming out, all the recent findings that have happened this past week. And finally, we'd like to touch a little bit on Mr. Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek? I still don't know how to say his name. Mr. Bob.
I think it's Chapek.
Is it Chapek? Either way.
I go back and forth too, but then I'm always like, no, it's Chapek.
I feel like it is Chapek. All right. Mr. Bob Chapek. Oh, because the E is after the A. That makes sense. It's Chapek. Bob Chapek, and how he may or may not be holding up these past few weeks with all this crazy stuff happening. But before we get to those, it's time for our first topic of the day, and that is, like I said, the rumors of Apple potentially buying Disney. Now, I think this came up, I don't know, there's always been rumors of like Apple buying any big company. That's like always a persistent rumor or like speculation that's floating around. So the rumor and speculation of Apple trying to buy Disney is really nothing new. But I guess it's just like the general circumstances, the timing around all of this. So, Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and give your thoughts on these crazy, because I feel like these rumors are crazy. It's not going to happen. But what are your thoughts?
Oh, no, it's not even that it's crazy. It's not even rumor. I mean, T. Will just kind of explained it perfectly in the chat right now. It's just a Wall Street guy, someone who analyzes the stock market, and noticed that Disney stocks were plummeting and Apple stocks were going up, and merely speculated that if Apple wanted to, they could consider buying Disney. It's not even a topic really of discussion. It's all speculation, and it's absolutely not going to happen. However, these are really absurd times, and it's absurd times for corporations in the sense that they've been making the craziest, most absurd decisions that I just think are out of touch with the public. So they might, I don't put anything past these major corporations these days, but I don't think that would happen. It would be, it just would cost too much money. I don't see that happening.
Well, I also agree. And I think that can wrap up this topic. Very brief, like I said, but we do have a lot of other great topics that we're excited to get into.
This should have just been on News from the Peak.
It should have.
We had more extensive conversations on those.
My God, he's right. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and take a listen to this voicemail for Mr. T-Will before we recap everything that's been happening in the past week in regards to the virus impact on the Walt Disney Company. So, T-Will.
Jeremy pointed out that it missed its relevancy date compared to the height of it, which was from 2012 till last year for the Marvel land. It brings up the overall question that I have for single IP lands, and that is relevancy and timelessness. Because Harry Potter. Let's take some of the big ones. Harry Potter is still going fairly strong, even though the main movies are done, and the mystical creatures, the newer ones are going on, but it still feels that timelessness. However, take something like Marvel, and it seems like that is really going to miss the boat, and it's going to become extremely dated. And it brings up the issue of when is it right to saddle your horse onto one single land and just go with that, spending nearly $1 billion or hundreds of millions of dollars at least to build this brand new land, and then ends up just becoming outdated and passé. It's kind of the question I have for Galaxy's Edge. And if they'll find enough, not Pandora, because I think Pandora did enough to stand on its own, but I fear something like Galaxy's Edge and especially Marvel are going to be victims of being too passé, of being of a time, of an IP gone by in the zeitgeist, and it just becomes and so it's just, that's $1 billion wasted right there compared to a less definitive but more flexible land area like a Tomorrowland or a World Showcase or an Asia section like an Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, wonderfully put too well. I mean, it's an important question, and it's certainly in terms of the conversation surrounding theme parks as an industry, theme parks as an art form. This is, like, I think, the fundamental existential question that anyone who analyzes theme parks, knows theme park history, is asking and talking about. In fact, there's a great theme park scholar, the blog Passport to Dreams. Look it up. There's amazing articles there.
Great, yeah.
They wrote an amazing summation of the past decade of the theme park industry, and imposes the same questions about then what is its future. What you said about, it's interesting. Pandora seems to be the exception. I think there's a couple reasons for this. One, I had just mentioned earlier. I think Disney believes they're going to be able to make that property relevant in the future. So they're investing in that move in the theme parks. And so far, it's paying off. And I think having that land in the park has grown more hype toward a future for that franchise than without it. Also, you have Joe Rohde designing that land, who understands that lands and themes are about ideas, not franchises and topics. So he was able to do his best to integrate that land into the message and ideas behind the rest of the park. So I feel like that's a major reason why that land is such an artistic and creative success, even though I do have some qualms with it, but very nitpicky. So yeah, but that is the fundamental questions moving forward, and with Marvel and with Galaxy's Edge, there was a talented team working on that land, and I think they've thought about those questions, because I believe that's probably why they arrived at making a land that expands and exists within the future of the Star Wars universe, so that it can evolve with wherever the franchise goes. I think that's still shaky territory to be in, because if you do want to make an attraction or a land or something that has to do with a franchise that people love, you have to function. You have to utilize nostalgia, not nostalgia bait, but nostalgia, the good kind. So I honestly, I think it's an ambitious land, and I think Rise of the Resistance is marvelous, and it's wonderful to look at. But I do agree with a lot of the critique that kind of got slammed early on, which was that, like, when you want to step into Star Wars, you want to step into the Star Wars that you grew up with, you know, the classics. And so I understand that. So it's a question of how do you make a franchise land, and how do you make a franchise land relevant always, and how do you make a franchise land timeless? And also, the question that I always pose when having this conversation is, it seems that the theme park industry is being overrun by film companies, which is fine. That's the origin story of theme parks. But all these major theme parks like Universal, like Disney, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. There's actually more overseas, actually. If they all are movie parks and not parks about movies or Hollywood or how movies get made, but parks that are just like, here are our itinerary of properties that we own with select immersive high quality experiences where you can go through them. All theme parks, regardless of what properties the parent company owns, are all going to look and feel the same. And I think the fundamental existential question moving forward with theme parks in this next decade is, when will we then crave variety again? When will we then crave original experiences? When will we then crave immersive experiences like an Epcot Center that are actually grounded in reality, grounded in the world around us? So I think, T. Will, it's one of my favorite topics of discussion. And please come on the show. Come on the show one week, and we can talk about it in sort of person.
Yeah,
so that'd be great.
Next week, T. Will. He's been asking me to be on. Last week we couldn't make it happen, but next week, T. Will, if you want to join Jeremy and I on the show, you're more than welcome to. And then we'll have a great time. And I think Alex is going to leave a voicemail here in just a few minutes for us, so we'll see what he has to say, but maybe not on the topic.
Just clown him back, T. Will. You just gotta clown him back and own him, and he'll know his place. He'll know his place. He's he's there, but he's
exactly, you guys. But for our second topic of the day, I don't know, I tried to clump all these together, just like the recent news that's been popping up regarding the Walt Disney Company due to this crazy, just the time that we live in. So I tried to like condense all of the sources here that we have into like categories, so to like make it more cohesive, I guess. But yeah, for this topic, we're gonna be doing just a general rundown of all the news that's been happening this past week in regards to the Walt Disney Company. So first bit here, all construction has ceased across the Walt Disney World Resort. Now this is big news because most of us, we were even saying this a couple weeks ago, I believe, most of us were hoping that with the closure of the parks, we might see a pickup in construction around the resorts, even just like general maintenance stuff. But according to reports from the Orlando Business Journal, the Walt Disney Company has shuttered construction operations at Walt Disney World, according to the head of the region's top construction trade organization. Now, I'm quoting directly from some article from WDW News Today, I believe it is. Links will be in the description for all the articles that we refer to. And it wasn't immediately known if construction workers would be paid or when construction operations would resume. Yeah, said Mark Wiley, president and CEO of the Central Florida chapter of Associated Builders and Contractors Incorporated. That's a long title. Anyways, Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on all construction ceasing across the Walt Disney World Resort?
Well, I mean, it's the same situation with the films. It's the same situation with everybody's jobs in this country. Is they're going away. I mean, this is something we've never experienced before to this degree as a country, and it would be another program to talk about, the economic and social impacts of that. But, this is related to that, So, yeah, I mean, most states have an order, stay home orders and mandates, and except for if you work for a if you work for an essential business, or if you're able to work at home. Obviously, you can work at home. So, construction, you can't have groups of 50 guys out there working together when there's a virus going around and we have to contain it. So all of these projects are on hold, and they're not going to open anytime soon. I would be surprised if Tron and other projects that aren't really close to being done are pushed back by a year.
Sure, yeah.
Because of this. So, and my fear is, and where one of our next topic is about Mr. Chapek. I avoid using the insults that you use,
Mr. Chapstick.
In the show notes, Matt has referred to him as Mr. Baldy. Just to put that out there for everybody.
It's easier to type than Chapek because I always spell it wrong. Oh, my feet is soaking because of all the Snapple. Oh, God.
There are worse things going on in the world, Matt. I hate to break it to you.
He's got a point. I shouldn't be complaining.
You should be so lucky that you have Snapple.
It just
dripping on your feet.
The dripping stopped just barely before it reached my surge protector, guys.
Woo!
It's a sign. This is gonna. Oh God, I'm scared. Anyways,
now where were we?
That is a good question. We were talking about construction being shut down.
Yeah, we were. Oh yeah, Mr. Chapek. I don't think he's like Paul Pressler, but I'm worried that having solely business-minded people, that seems to be what the board wants, out of fear. It's clear now that they ousted Iger out of financial fear because Iger, I got to give it to him. He really cares about the creative legacy of the company, and I don't think he was willing to compromise financially on projects because he's become, at the very end of his reign, a long-term thinker in terms of the company. I don't necessarily agree with his creative decisions, but at least he has that kind of mind, or has at least developed that kind of mind. And I never gave him that credit before. But I'm worried the board wants more business-minded people as a contingency plan out of fear to fix things in the short run. And I'm worried the parks are really going to get the parks usually and Imagineering get the bulk of those cuts during times of financial strain. And so I'm worried they're going to start making similar decisions that they've made only 20 years ago. And I'm worried that they're not going to be able to look back and go, was that the right long-term decision to make?
Yeah.
So we'll see, but we don't know what the impact on the parks are going to be yet, but in the short run, it's going to be delayed new projects. And after those projects are done by the middle of the decade, hopefully, I don't know what the rest of the decade and the decade after that's going to hold. It depends on how long this lasts and how much money Disney loses. That being said, I'm not going to bed tonight or any night worried about the state of large corporations in this country during this period of time.
Of course.
So there's also that.
Well, yeah, it's weird because just at the beginning of the year, I think, or before the beginning, like just before the new year, we were doing our predictions on what kind of new projects we could see Disney doing, not just this year, but the next 5 years maybe. And it's kind of weird because it feels like almost all of those things that we would have put, like New Tomorrowland and Disneyland, Fantasyland expansion, even Marvel Land, I feel like has just been poof. I mean, this is just based on what, just based on us. There's no concrete details released as to whether or not these are actually being shut down or. But yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah, it's always a shame. I mean, this happened the last time they were going to do a new Tomorrowland. They had to compromise, and we got the one we've been stuck with for 22 years. But that being said, they were already planned. They were already planning a new Tomorrowland, and I don't even know if they've started doing that. So now we can really expect the worst for a new Tomorrowland, if we even get one.
Yeah, so bit of a gut punch, but Yeah, well, like I said, I just clumped all of this news together, so we're going to be flowing into our next article here. This comes to us from, this is a very interesting article. This comes to us from, oh God, He Who Must Not Be Named, the OC Register. Anyways, Disney warned investors that changes in consumer behavior as a result of the coronavirus crisis could adversely impact the company's theme parks, cruise lines, theater shows, and movie making and distribution efforts. There's a quote here. Quote, we've closed our theme parks, suspended our cruises and theatrical shows, delayed theatrical oh my gosh, I just cannot talk. Delayed theatrical distribution of films both domestically and internationally, and experienced supply chain disruption and ad sales impacts, Disney wrote in a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission on Thursday, the 19th of March. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting topic. There's another quote here. According to the SEC filing, the impact to Disney's bottom line depends on a series of quote-unquote unknowable factors that include changes in consumer behavior as a result of disruptions from COVID-19, the fixed costs of the company's theme parks, the cost borrowing as a result of the COVID-19 impact on capital markets, the disruption of the coronavirus pandemic, and the impact of governmental regulations improved in response to the pandemic. So this doesn't necessarily just affect Disney. This would, I guess, like affect just every business almost. Just Disney is the one we're focusing on here. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this very thought-inducing article here?
Yeah, sure. Large corporations that rely on the public are going to see they're going to lose money. They're going to lose millions of dollars. That just comes with the territory. Everybody's losing money. We're on the verge of a depression. Is basically what's going to happen. We're going to have another Great Depression, depending on how much longer this lasts, and we need to be economically prepared for that. That being said, the big corporations are not going to suffer as much as you and I and other people. But in terms of just talking about Disney, leaving all of that for the news and other conversations elsewhere, I wonder, and because I work in the theater. I work for a Broadway producer who escaped to the Hamptons and sent everyone home, so I'm out of work temporarily. But Broadway is completely shut down, and that's a lot of shows. That's a lot of money, and some shows have even announced they're canceling. They were just about to open and they've canceled. They're not going to open at all. Shows are closing. And I think it's actually similar for the theme parks. And there's a question going around it. When shows reopen, when theme parks reopen, are people going to be able to, what's the price point change going to be? Like, are people going to be able to just jump right back in and pay over $100 for not even a park hopper?
Yeah.
Or $200 for a premium center orchestra seat at a theater? I don't know. It depends how long this lasts. But it's making us ask fundamental questions about our government. It's making us ask fundamental questions about our economy. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. These large corporations are going to be just fine at the end of the day. And I don't want to get too political, but with the way things have been going in Washington, those corporations are going to be taken care of with a nice check and a big hug. I'm worried about small businesses. I'm worried about Alex's business.
Yeah.
I'm worried about working in middle class families. My family is a struggling middle class family. There are people who are trying to figure out how to pay their mortgage, how to pay their rent, when they're not getting income, or they're losing multiple jobs that they've had and they only have one now that's allowed to work from home. So the corporations are going to be fine. Projects are going to be delayed, but they're going to happen. There's just bigger fish to fry at this point. We're not going to lose Disney. That's my word of hope in regards to Disney. We're not going to lose Disney. So we're good. Corporations are fine.
Very well said, Mr. Jeremy. Well, speaking of like the complete, I don't know, moving on, Disney is losing an estimated $20 to $30 million a day with the U.S. parks being closed. The closure of the parks was expected to last till the end of March, but there's been a more recent development with the letting go of all Disney College Program members on Friday that may or may not be taken as a sign that the closure may last through April. So yeah, again, that's not concrete. Disney has not released any other statement regarding when the parks would reopen. They're still sticking with that April 1st, end of the month reopening date, which I feel like, again, like we touched in News from the Peak, I think, is when we touched on this. I think the parks will stay closed longer than that, is what I'm trying to say, past the beginning of April. Yeah, it's just again, we're not experts when it comes to like all this medical stuff. So when we make predictions like this, we're just giving our own personal thoughts and opinions and like throwing our own ideas out there. So, but yeah, it is my personal thought and opinion that the Disney parks, at least in the US, will stay closed through maybe parts of April, maybe the entirety of April. It's honestly, it's really hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, I think it's possible for the rest of spring. I think it's possible. We'll see.
Yeah, and losing $20 to $30 million a day, just like we were talking earlier, all these lost profits can be a sign of what's to come when it comes to like entertainment being cut, budgets for upcoming lands and attractions being cut, just like Jeremy was discussing just a few minutes ago. So it is, I don't know. I guess we can sort of use this as a little to talk about that, because I guess from what we know, besides Marvel Land, they're the main big projects that are happening at the Walt Disney World at Disneyland Resort. Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway. We have New Tomorrowland, of course, and then the Fantasyland expansion, remodel, refurb, whatever that is. Not in any particular order, just off of the ones I could remember first. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see going forward if, Disney's they haven't even released how far along they are on any of those projects. It's my assumption that construction on Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway has stopped at the moment. I've seen some update videos from like Fresh Baked and stuff who do construction updates, and there's been like no progress these past few weeks. And especially with those like New Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, where they're not even near construction, it'll be very interesting to see how much progress they intend to make these next few months, and even when those projects will be picked up again.
I would say to people who are asking, I would say prepare for a late May return to the parks, and be surprised if it happens earlier. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Michael 23, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. We haven't even announced the membership feature that we have on the channel, but thank you. So you can use custom emotes now, Michael. So thank you. Oh, that was loud.
Hey.
That was loud.
Yeah, that's good. And thank you for doing that. There's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to be getting out that you'll enjoy on this channel very soon. So
guys, with this whole break that we've been having, we're going to be making a lot of progress in regards to videos. We already are, yeah. Very excited.
So stay tuned.
We've said that a million times in the past, but we mean it this time.
I know. Do you trust? No, I can safely say to everybody that all projects that we've slated and announced are currently in production. We're multitasking. We're working on all of them, and we're gonna get some content out to you guys as soon as possible, so you have a little bit of Disney at home during this time of adversity.
Yes, exactly. Now, again, all these topics are just clumped together. Moving on. The closure of the Disneyland Resort could cost Southern California, or the SoCal region, over $400 million, you guys. Now, as most of the area is tourism-oriented just because of all the theme parks, Disney, of course, Universal. Does that Universal count as SoCal theme park? I feel like, I think it does. Okay. All those other ones. The lack of guests in the park
It's
means...
literally in Hollywood.
That's true. That's true. Guys, I miss Alex. He knows so much more than me. But we do have voicemail to get to from Alex here very soon. But yeah, like I said, as most of the area is tourism oriented, the lack of guests in the parks means the lack of income that goes to all the local businesses that survive on the constant customers that not just Disneyland, but all the other offerings that Southern California has as well. And it goes to show how essential Disneyland is to the local economy, because I'm sure next time Jeremy and I eventually visit back to the parks, we're going to see, a lot of closed businesses, sadly. Yeah, so guys, $400 million. I think that projection is through the 1st of April, like just the projection of how much money that region will lose through that period of time. I could be wrong. Again, links in the description to all the articles we refer to in case you want to read up more. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on this big blow coming to Southern California because of all these the closures of the parks?
Yeah, well, it's not just the closure of the parks are putting a lot of people out of work, and I am concerned about the cast members and other employees of theme parks being able to go back to work, or I'm worried that people will be let go and they'll be downsizing when the parks are able to return, which is absurd, by the way. Like I said, these companies are still going to have a lot of money. But it's not just the parks closing that's going to transform the economy.
Yeah.
It's think about it. Think about how when Disneyland, and Walt hated this, but when Disneyland came, it really made Orange County an attractive business venture. So many small businesses and other ventures opened up literally just like surrounding right on the perimeter of Disneyland, and all those hotels, all those restaurants. Yeah, that's going to affect all of those small businesses closing, potentially forever. So that's going to have a profound effect on the economy. Yeah, and Michael 23, Central Florida, also the same thing. The same thing happened when Disney got in there. It became a business venture, and small businesses are going to really suffer. Definitely more so than the large companies that own the parks. But and that's really what's going to cause this kind of economic crisis in the region. Not necessarily the parks closing itself, but businesses that close around it, and businesses that are just closing in general because of the quarantine. So isn't that crazy? Quarantine, it's like we say that it's just a part of our daily language now. We're in a quarantine.
Day 6 of self-quarantine.
So yeah.
And again, on the same vein, in 2018, the Disneyland Resort was responsible for over 78,000 jobs in SoCal. And Disney is, I think we said this last episode, but there's been more information. Disney is paying its cast members over $59 million over the 18 days the park is supposed to be closed. That is up until the beginning of March, or the beginning of April.
And and good for them for paying their cast members. Although I did read a tweet that not everyone is getting paid, but I don't know how reliable that is.
Yeah.
Details surrounding that. The details we do know is that they are paying their employees. So that's good. And I got to give it to Disney for that. Good for them, because not everyone is doing that for their employees. I had to file for unemployment just a few days ago. So good for Disney for doing the right thing in regards to paying their employees. Hopefully they're paying them the same wages they paid them, and they're not paying a reduced wage.
Yeah, we do have a few cast members in chat, I believe. So if you guys would like to provide some further information on that, we'd love to call in, leave a voicemail. That's perfect. leave some information about, if
Seriously.
you're getting paid, how much you're getting paid, and when do you guys expect for the parks to reopen. Guys, again, voicemail number is 575-386-5814, I believe. Yeah, 575-386-5814.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah, okay. 575-386-5814. I didn't format it, but there it is. And this will supposedly cover over 30,000 cast members, 3,000 plus third-party employees, and 45,000, I think that's right, off-site employees. Again, this does just state that they will be paying them through these 18 days that the park is supposed to be closed. Now, I guess it's kind of a horrible question to ask, but you have to ask the question. Will Disney continue to pay these cast members when the closure inevitably, I don't know how to pronounce words, extends past these 18 days that the parks are supposed to be closed? Because $59 million in just these 18 days, and then we're thinking that this closure would last, maybe more than another 18 days. That's another $59 million. Will Disney continue to... they should, of course. But, the question, you have to ask the question. Big company, will they pay their employees past this 18 days? Jeremy, what do you think?
I don't know. And that's kind of the phrase of the times. I think there's a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's why people are stressed. People are uncertain about their finances. People are uncertain about their jobs. So I don't know. If people are going to be paid. I also am not qualified to make a prediction for a company. I'm sure they're going to try to figure out how to, since they've already made the decision to pay them. So hopefully they will continue to do that. And like someone mentioned, part-time hours are being cut for people. So it might just be a matter of, we will still pay you, but we're going to be paying you less hours. And I don't believe there is a cast members union, but someone in the chat who's a cast member will have to respond to that. I don't think Disney would ever allow for a cast members union, which is wrong, by the way. There should be one. There should be a cast members union. So yeah.
So again, it's going to be an interesting next few weeks. Oh, there is a cast member union. It says undefined variables in California, not in Florida.
Are they doing anything to negotiate continuing getting paid during Disneyland's closure? Do you know?
T-Will says there are cast member unions in Florida. So I trust T-Will when it comes to Disney World knowledge. So I don't know, but yeah, if you guys have any other further information, we'd love to know.
Leave a voicemail.
Guys, 575-386-5814. Call in. We do have some voicemails that we need to get to as well. I believe there's one from Alex, as well as 2 from Avery. But unless we can get to those after our sponsor break. Jeremy, do you have any final thoughts on this whole crisis that's going on this past month with the Walt Disney Company?
Nothing I've already said. I think I'd just be repeating myself. But you know what I'd love, Matt? I'd love to hear you talk about Puckermint,
Guys, y'all already know it's time. We're going to be getting into our third and final topic, talking about Mr. Baldy Chapstick after we have a little sponsor break. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers. Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live. And since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. All right, everybody.
Beautifully said, Matt. Beautifully said.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I took 2 takes of that, and that was the best take.
Could be
months
better.
ago. It could be. It really could. But we're working on it, you guys. We're going to be making a real commercial style for that eventually.
That's
but
right.
Anyways.
Thank you for reminding me.
Anyways, we do have some voicemails that I would like to get to before we move on to our final topic. This first one comes to us from, guys, Mr. Alex the Historian himself. So let's go ahead and give this a listen here. Oh, round of applause. Where's my clapping thing? There it is. Okay. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Alex the Historian here. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your support to everyone, both on my channel, on Matt's channel, and people who are watching the podcast. Things right now are not going so well for my business or for my channel. Ironically, I would have thought that I'd get more views during this time, but things on both ends haven't been how I expected them to be. During this time, it hasn't been appropriate for me to be doing the podcast, especially with things at home not going so great for my roommates as well. But again, we are holding on to hope, and we are doing what we can to keep everything in our business running, as well as I'm doing what I can to keep my channel running. So again, thank you everybody very much for all the support. I really appreciate it. And hopefully this mess will clear up soon, and I'll be back on the podcast as soon as possible. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.
Yay for Alex. Yay. Guys.
Yay for Alex. That was great.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think Alex has a Patreon anymore. There's ways that we can donate to Alex's channel, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head. I think he has a Venmo account at Alex A Historian, I think. It's not in my notes here, but it'll be included in the description of the podcast when it eventually posts on Monday. So, shout out to Mr. Alex. We're gonna miss him, but he has more important things to do than make fun of us in front of people on the internet. So, just kidding. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Alex, for that voicemail. And now we do have 2 voicemails from Avery. Which one should we? Oh yeah, you can buy his merch. AlexTheHistorian.com.
Yes,
I believe is the website.
Do that.
Great merch. Anyways,
if you can.
Yeah, if you can. I mean, of course, but you should. But if you can. Which voicemail should we listen to from Avery? This one's about Apple. Let's listen to this one here. That's not about Apple because that's sort of old news at this point. So, here we go.
Yeah, I saw this construction cuts coming because of all these CDC restrictions of how many people can be in one place at a time. I saw this coming, even though I had hope that maybe they'll continue working on the careful makeover, maybe they'll continue working on Ratatouille, but no. Now they're making everyone stay home, which is for the best for the time being. And it's having an economical impact on the area and on several people too, like not just construction workers, but several jobs, like the Epcot, like without the Epcot performer cuts, Sergio, the taiko drummers, and the British Revolution were all cut before the parks closed. And it looks like they got rid of those groups for good, probably to cut the costs for the park closure. Most likely the case. For British Revolution, they said that's in preparation for Mary Poppins because it's sort of in that area. I'm hoping that gazebo doesn't go away though, because the gazebo played a role in Epcot history. But after Lillian did an interview about Epcot's opening, so it's pretty big, Epcot history-wise. But all good things will come to an end. So I'm hoping that the performance, especially Sergio, who is like he gave the Italian Pavilion life. He was great, and the taiko drummers, because they also gave Japan the Pavilion Light. They're one of my favorite parts of the World Showcase was the drummers. I'm hoping they come back soon, but for now, doesn't look like they are. I'm just hoping for this to solve this crisis. As the more people that stay home, the less time it'll take to solve this entire thing.
Oh, guys, I'm muted. That's awkward.
Yeah, I was like, I just sent you a message saying I think I lost you. I can't hear you.
Oh my gosh, that's awkward. Well, I think what I was saying is we neglected to talk about. I was wondering because Jeremy wasn't reacting to what I was saying, but anyways.
What were you saying? I was trying to play it cool. Whenever that happens, I'm always like, all right, play it cool. Just send a message saying I can't hear you. You know.
Oh my gosh, how embarrassing for myself. Guys, there's already Snapple on my floor. Well, anyways, I was saying we neglected to talk about the recent entertainment cuts that have been happening or that have happened at Epcot just because they sort of got lost in the shuffle, I guess, in comparison to everything else that we've been talking about. But yeah, it is a sad time. That's already, I don't know if that was necessarily a direct response to the whole crisis that's going on. It could be. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really looked into it any further than that. But it is very sad. Anytime we lose any form of live entertainment in the parks is always, sad. Jeremy, do you have any other thoughts you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, I think it's totally tragic. Live entertainment in Disney parks in general gives the park. It's not just about like entertainment, sitting down and watching a show. It's more interactive than that. It's more immersive than that. Like I think Avery actually put it really kind of beautifully. With Sergio, like it gives and I think this goes to the case with live entertainment or walk around characters that are suited to the theme of whatever land they're in. It gives the land life. It gives it actual real life to it. And World Showcase had some great live performers. They've kind of done a changing of the guard of some of them in recent years, and some have stayed, some have come and gone. But it does give it some life, and it'll be sad to see those go. And Disney doesn't seem to care about. They don't seem to recognize the kind of importance of live entertainment. And unfortunately, with major budget cuts, it's always the first to go. Always the first to be downsized. So it's sad, it's tragic, but yeah, hopefully they replace them or with other ones when they can. But I have a feeling there won't be live entertainment really in any of the parks unless it's like a show for a while. Yeah.
Last but not least, we do have one final voicemail in the queue here. This is no name attached to it, but I believe he works as a cast member, so let's go ahead and give this a listen here.
Hello. I do indeed miss working at Disney. They do have me covered until the beginning of next month. However, I do miss making magic, and it is so sad. However, I do hope we open sooner than later, and I hope this virus gets solved sooner than later. And by the way, my magic moment of the day was me subscribing to your channel by joining it.
Oh, it was Michael, 23.
Yay, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, we appreciate it. But yeah, very sad all around for all the cast members. Again, if you guys would like to leave your voicemails, 575-386-5814. Or just anybody in general, if you'd still like to leave voicemails, you can do so. And I believe on that note, we do have one final topic that we have to get to. Interesting one. We're going to be talking about Mr. Bob Chapek himself. Y'all know Mr. Bobby Boy, new CEO of the Walt Disney Company, and it is a very interesting place that Mr. Bob Chapek has been put in. These past few weeks, because it was almost like immediately, just like the next few days after it was announced, things started to hit the fan. Bob Chapek becomes the new CEO of the Walt Disney Company, and then I think it was after that is when the Chinese park started closing down. It might have been before, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it all happened around the same general area, general timeline. Yeah, I can't remember if it was before or after, but yeah. So it is a very interesting.
During.
It was during. Okay.
It was during because the narrative at the time was, because that Bob Iger was like see ya.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Which I don't think is the case. I actually think it was the board like get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. But
yeah.
As much as we meme on Mr. Bob over here, I said this last week too. You do have to kind of feel for the guy because he's been put in such an interesting position that I'm not really sure any other CEO has ever like faced in their first like just month of their tenure. All their parks are closed. No more movies being put out. Their films aren't being seen by any audience members. No revenue from that. Cruise lines are closed. Just basically everything Disney related is just like shuttered down. And yeah, very interesting place that Mr. Bob has put himself, or I guess has stumbled upon, becoming the new CEO. Is this what you wanted, Bob? I'm sure when he was like dreaming in his sleep of becoming the new CEO, this was not what he pictured. Definitely not what he pictured. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on how Mr. Bob Iger can use this time to maybe try and prove himself as a good CEO for the Walt Disney Company?
Bob Chapek, not Bob Iger. You said
Bob Iger. Did I say Bob Iger? Bob Chapek is what I meant. It's hard to... I'm still getting used to it.
It's difficult because I don't think he was necessarily put in as CEO to prove himself as any sort of leader, setting a public example. I think he was put in there as an emergency tactic. They need someone who's business-minded, who's not afraid to cut things and do things like merge theme parks with consumer products, make very business-minded decisions, who's not afraid to do that, to try to weather a little bit of the financial strain that the Walt Disney Company is about to face. I think Iger, again, by the end of his tenure, really kind of fell in love with the creative side of Disney. And one thing I'll give him is that he invested a lot of money in creative projects. Whether we agree with those creative projects or not is a different story, but he did invest money and resources into projects going on. And I think the board was like, now is not the time, Mr. Iger. We're voting you out, and choose someone who's got, we think Chapek should be the one who replaces you because we need someone who's going to focus on money and not anything else. So it's not how he can prove himself. Well, right now he's really only focused on proving himself to the board, I think. Making sure he weathers the financial strain the company's about to face will be how he gets past the board litmus test. And then if he's able to do that, then he'll have to prove himself to the public, which will be re-stimulating the company, forging a new creative path for films, forging a new creative path for the parks. But we'll see if he does that, because I don't think the board is not going to like someone who spends billions and billions of dollars on projects. So we'll see if Bob does that. But I think he's going to be right now more concerned with proving himself to the board than he is to the public.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very interesting tenure for Mr. Bob Chapek because, of course, like we said, this whole global pandemic that's been happening, I'm sure, maybe Mr. Bobby had a few projects up his sleeve that he'd like to get built maybe at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. Pixar Pier version 2.0. You never know. I'm sure those projects
the Pixar Pier Hotel.
The Pixar Pier
They're going to tear down the Polynesian Resort and make the Pixar Pier Hotel.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be something? I would not. That's something that WW News Today article would post. Anyways.
Right, but you know what? I think that's sadly something in the realm of reality of decisions that have been made in the parks over the past few years. But no, I said that as a joke to everyone who's listening. That's not even a rumor. That's just a joke.
Yeah, just a joke, you guys. We're just poking a little fun here. Wouldn't it be something if we could get Mr. Bob Chapek here as a special guest.
That
on
would
the
be absolutely
podcast.
fantastic. I would be that would be great. To have him be able to state his case why he believes parks should be merged with consumer products, why that was a good decision. Creatively, I would push him on that. And to find out what he's doing to weather the storm that's coming. I think it would be great, and I actually think we would ask really great questions.
Guys, I don't know. That would be cool. But yeah, I don't know about Mr. Bob Chapek. Of course, we've been talking about earlier in the episode about this whole new era of the Walt Disney Company post. I guess we can use like the term post, like coronavirus. Would that be like a good way to like plot the timeline of this? I don't know. How Mr. Bob Chapek goes on post COVID-19. And how his decisions with the company in the future can help, bring back Disney to what it once was pre-coronavirus. Feels weird to say that. Well,
it's not even that. It won't be even about that at that point. It'll be moving forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't know. Like I said, we poke a lot of fun at Mr. Bob here with the decisions he's made. We don't know him personally. I don't know what's going on in his head of his, what kind of thoughts he has in his free time. So he could be scheming a plan to double down on the creativity of everything, but again, it does feel like this is not necessarily the right time for creative decisions, big budget creative attractions, big budget creative original lands and stuff like that. This does really feel like, and it kind of pains me to say this, I do feel like if these next few months parks are still closed, when they do eventually reopen and we do see the halting of all these construction projects, all the live entertainment being cut just to help save money for the company, I do feel like that would be something he would do, but I guess it's a different circumstance in regards to when it first happened in the 2000s with Paul Pressler and all that kind of stuff. So I guess you would kind of feel, I hate this. You would kind of feel sympathy for the guy to have to do that to try and recoup the money that the parks lost. When again, it's a different comparison to a different circumstance compared to when it happened in the 2000s when they were just being cheap to be cheap. But I do feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to articulate what I'm saying here, but it's not registering with you guys because it's such a foreign thing to say, to feel sympathy for Mr. Bob Chapek here when it comes to making these creative, these cuts to the parks. But I don't know, I guess time will tell. Like we said, there's probably not going to be any other big budget lands, big budget attractions, New Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, all that stuff is probably been shelved for a few weeks now, at least for the foreseeable future. So either way, we're not going to be seeing any of that coming anytime soon. So, but I don't know. It would still be very sad to see all these cuts that are inevitably going to be happening to the parks, live entertainment, shows being cut, ticket prices probably going up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will see indeed. Wonder how busy the parks will be on opening day. That's something I've been thinking about too. Are people going to flood back to the parks once they reopen, or are people still going to be weary and stay home just to double down on being safe, being quarantined? I don't know. Tony, that's really something we can't accurately predict because we've never seen anything like this happen before. At least I haven't. Something like a global epidemic, global crisis that's been happening. We don't know how people are going to be spending their money in the future, probably by not going to the parks more often because, of course,
right. Yeah.
It takes a lot of money.
And we'll see.
Yeah.
And we'll see if there is a depression around the corner. We'll see how that affects the theme park industry in general. So, yeah.
And also the film industry with all these films being
and also
delayed.
the film, yeah.
Well, Jeremy, unless you have any final thoughts on anything we discussed, I feel like
I don't.
I feel like that might wrap up this episode of Matterhorn Mondays.
I think it might.
You guys. It's been a pleasure streaming to you guys, recording for you guys. Yeah, glad to have Jeremy here so I don't have to be... Imagine how awkward it'd be if it was just me by myself. Just me.
You couldn't do it.
I could not. The podcast would be 10 minutes long. But, God, I don't even want to imagine that. But anyways, thank you to everybody for coming out to the live stream. Guys, in case you didn't know, we do live stream all of our podcasts recorded live. That's what the chat's for. Normally it's every Sunday at, I think we're sticking with 1 p.m. Disneyland time. Or no, 12. No,
yeah,
1 p.m. Disneyland time is when we're
we did
be
1 p.m.
sticking to
today.
it.
Yeah, like we can stick to it. I got nothing to do.
Me
sitting
neither.
around.
Yeah, so again, live streamed here on the main Matterhorn Matt channel, as well as the secondary channel that we have, Matterhorn Matt Streams, which I feel like is kind of irrelevant at this point, because the main reason I created that channel was because I got a copyright strike on my main channel. Couldn't live stream for a while, so we had to switch over to that. But, we have a small dedicated audience that only tunes into the Matterhorn Matt Streams version.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We also stream on Facebook, as well as Periscope on Twitter. Excuse me. So if you guys would like to tune into that, if you get to participate in the chat, have a discussion with us probably, as well as leave voicemails. You guys can also leave voicemails throughout the week, not just during when these live shows are happening. Again, that's 575-386-5814. Reverend Pug says, we wouldn't have recovered from that Snapple spill. Yeah, guys, if it was just me by myself, I would have just called it quits just right there. After I spilled the Snapple everywhere, I would have been done. But anyways, yeah, I do think that is going to wrap up everything here. Links to everything will be down in the description is below. My Twitter, Jeremy's Twitter, as well as links to Alex's channel and ways that you can support Mr. Alex the Historian. I did send some in chat earlier in the episode. You can go to alexthehistorian.com/support, and there he has links to his Teespring. There he has a link to his Venmo account, and whenever he live streams, you can also do a super chat in the chat. Send a few dollars to him through the live streams. Stickers, you guys, only $3.99. Stickers. Yeah, so alexthehistorian.com/support. Yeah, next week, I guess we're going to have Mr. T-Will join us. Very excited about that.
All right.
I don't think we've had Jeremy and T-Will in the same Discord call together, so this will be interesting.
I'm very excited.
And I'm sure we're going to have more amazing news to bring to you guys. But on that note, I got to grab many napkins. So it's time for us to sign off. Thank you all for coming to today's episode. And as always, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.